Some of you may have read the title of this video and thought, you're a moron. The largest ski resort in South America is Cerro Catedral in Argentina. Others may have thought, I know where you're going with this. Well, you're both right. Well, maybe not about me being a moron, but the largest ski resort is Cerro Catedral in Argentina. Valle Nevado is not that far behind though, and it's connected to two other resorts, La Parva and El Colorado. They're all on separate tickets, but what happens if you buy all three tickets and ski them all in one day? Well, let's go do that now so you can decide whether or not it's worth your while. I'm staying at Valle Nevado, so that's my starting point. The plan is to jump over to the far side of La Parva, then ski over to El Colorado, and then come back here. But first, I want to hit this line under the Andes Express chairlift before heading to La Parva. The snow on it when I've been here the past 2 years has been pretty bad, so I haven't done it yet. But now it looks decent enough, so let's start the day with that. Now that I've gotten that out of my system and we make our way over to La Parva, let's cover the cost of hitting all three resorts on the same day. Because although they're all connected, each resort is operated independently on separate lift tickets. So what will it cost to buy a pass for each resort on the same day? Well, I have the Icon Pass, so my day at Valle Nevado is already covered. If I didn't have the pass, because today is high season, it would cost about $83 for one day. For me, the cost begins with La Parva, which currently runs $74 during the high season. To buy a pass, you have to ski or board over to La Parva, whether you order it online in advance or buy it there the day of. I'd recommend going to the main ticket office by the commercial center because the other ticket offices that you see on the trail map are often closed. You don't want to get stuck having to take a lift without a pass. Unfortunately, they only sell one-day passes unless you buy 5 or more days. But once you buy a pass, you can reload it the next day online so that you don't have to return to the ticket office each day. And better yet, when you buy online, the rate is only $40 for a day. So that's what I'm doing today. I already have a pass, so I reloaded it last night and can immediately go anywhere in La Parva and use the pass that I have. What about El Colorado? Same deal as La Parva. You have to ski or board over there and buy a day pass. They won't sell you consecutive days unless you buy 4 or more. The cost to walk up and buy a one-day pass the day of in high season right now is $64. When you order or reload online, it's $53. So the total cost for me today is $93. That's actually cheaper than many US resorts for one day. Okay, so the plan for today is to leave Valle Nevado, go over to La Parva, explore that, then hit El Colorado, and then come back and finish the day off at Valle Nevado. So what I'm doing is just came up the Andes Express. There is one entry point to La Parva back to my left. But what I want to do is hit the one that is further in the back valley by the Ancla T-bar. So we're going to head through the back of Valle Nevado to the Ancla T-bar and jump over into La Parva, and then we can just start exploring La Parva. Just got off the Ancla T-bar and La Parva is right over here. This is the second entry point, the higher entry point. It dumps you out sort of on the right side of the La Parva trail map. So let's go jump into it right now. And we're now in La Parva. So I've changed in my left pocket my ski pass, which was Valle Nevado. Now I'm in La Parva. I've changed it to the La Parva pass, and I put my El Colorado pass in my backpack. And you may want to do that because there is some interference that happens between the passes. So even if you have them in your wrist pocket and another one in your lower pocket on your jacket, they will cause interference when you try and go through the gate at the chairlift. I'm on my first lift in La Parva, the number 4 chairlift. To give you some perspective on time, it's about 10 a.m. right now. So what I did was one quick run under the Andes Express in Valle Nevado, and then came all the way over to the entrance into La Parva that's by the Ancla T-bar. I did stop a couple times to mount my camera to my helmet and then to take it off. So you might be able to go a little bit more quickly than I did, but that's how long it took me, about an hour, to get into La Parva. Now, if I didn't have the pass already, I would have had to ski down all the way to the commercial center to pick up the pass at the ticket office down there. Fortunately, I can just jump on the first chairlift I see since I already have a pass, and I reloaded it last night. What we'll do is now work our way to the left side of the trail map over here at La Parva. So if you're somebody who's just on the Icon Pass, one of the reasons to do this is when you come to La Parva and El Colorado, you get a really nice view of Santiago that you don't get over in Valle Nevado. So this is where we're headed. That's the far left side of the trail map at La Parva. If you're a boarder, one thing you should realize before exploring La Parva and El Colorado is that they have a lot of T-bars and pommel lifts. So unless you're comfortable doing that, you're going to be very limited in where you can go. It's 11 a.m. and I'm on the Aguias chairlift, which is the #1 chair on the left side of the trail map at La Parva. To understand how much terrain you're getting when you combine all three resorts, let's look at North American resort size for perspective. Colorado, Steamboat and Breckenridge both have over 2,900 skiable acres. Palisades Tahoe is 6,000. Park City, Utah is 7,300, and Whistler Blackcomb is over 8,000 skiable acres. Cerro Catedral in Argentina stands at 3,000 skiable acres. Valle Nevado is just over 2,200 skiable acres. It's the clear #2 in South America. But when you add the skiable acreage of La Parva and El Colorado, the number increases to 7,000 skiable acres. That's larger than Palisades Tahoe. It's Park City level. So it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, it costs more than $100 to get a walk-up ticket at Park City in the US. Well, let's talk about some of the downsides of skiing these combined resorts. Okay, and let's talk about the first downside while skiing Barros Negros on the left side of the trail map. That downside is slow chairlifts. We just took the Aguias chairlift, which was 15 minutes to ascend. Later, we'll take the Fabris chairlift to get over to El Colorado. That'll be over 13 minutes. So you're paying a lot of extra money to get Park City type variety and amount of terrain, yet you're not getting Park City lift quality. You're being slowed down a lot, and it hampers how much of that terrain you get to enjoy. The second downside, as we make our way over to the Fabris chair, another slow one I just mentioned, is what I'll refer to as pocket pass juggling. Which I mentioned earlier, having to switch your passes between your pockets. When you're at a certain spot, where near El Colorado and La Parva and Valle Nevado, you're really very easily jumping between the resorts, and there'll be a lot of juggling there. So it's a shame that they don't have one common pass. All right, and here is the Fabris lift on the right side of the trail map, which will take us over to where you can connect to El Colorado. Okay, now on the Fabris lift, I'm going to have to engage in juggling of the passes in my pocket because the next lift I'm going to take is going to be in El Colorado. So it's about noon. We're going to jump over into El Colorado, which is right over here. And that brings up noon, that is, the third potential downside. It's not really a downside, but it's lunch. You're already losing a lot of time on the slow chairlifts, and you have so much terrain to cover that if you want like a nice long, hour-long lunch, well, it may not be There's a sign there saying turn left that I almost missed to get to El Colorado. You take a really long lunch, maybe an hour. Between that and maybe 4 chairlift rides over in El Parva, that's 2 hours of the day gone without skiing. So you may want to do like me and bring along a protein bar and eat it on the lift. And just like that, we're in El Colorado. This terrain back here to the left is all El Colorado. Over here though, you can see the buildings. That is Valle Nevado. Be on the other side of this mound here. So we're going to go around and you'll see the main town of El Colorado and a lot of beginner intermediate terrain that's right on that face. And La Parva right down there. And here is El Colorado. El Colorado, La Parva. Santiago off in the smog. All right, so as you can see, this is the main face of El Colorado. There are a bunch of intermediate and beginner slopes here. So what we'll do is go down once and take a chairlift up to go explore the more fun part of El Colorado, in my opinion, the more advanced slopes. And you can see right now on a Tuesday, nobody's here. How perfect is that to learn how to ski on a flat slope where there's no interference from anybody else? The fourth potential downside is really just limited to experts and advanced intermediates, and it's this. El Colorado is known among the 3 resorts as being the most beginner friendly of them all. So should you spend the money to come here if you're not going to ski a lot of the slopes? Well, my advice is this. If you're going to do it for one day, absolutely spend the money for El Colorado, because you'll miss slopes like this. These are some really nice groomers that are blue or black slopes in the United States, and you miss out. If you're going to do it more than one day, then maybe you leave El Colorado out 1 or 2 days. I mean, not only do you have these groomed runs, but you have all of the ungroomed terrain around it, which on a nice powder day would be incredible. I'm not skiing it right now because we've had a lot of sun and the snow's not that fresh. Right now, I'll just stick to the groomed slopes. When I first came to Valle Nevado, I looked out over the slopes and saw this one hill that was really steep and had a T-bar going up. I didn't realize at the time, but that is part of El Colorado, and I'm on that T-bar right now. This is the terrain that I think is really cool that you'd miss out on as an expert not going to El Colorado. All right, I'm back in Valle Nevado. I took up the Tres Puntas button lift to the backside. To cross over, I took a T-bar up in El Colorado, and there's a little fence with a hole in the fence that people are using to transfer between Valle Nevado and El Colorado. I don't know if by the time I post this video they may have closed it up, but right now that's one way of transferring. The other is to skiable down a little bit and then transfer a little bit lower. So while we do this nice blue slope, let's talk about a couple of tips. One tip, if you're going to ski the combined resorts, is to do it on a weekday. On weekends, it's obviously more crowded. People come from Santiago, and while it's not as bad as in the US in terms of lift lines, there still are more lift lines than there are on a weekday. Pretty much every weekday I've been here at Valle Nevado or La Parva, there are no lines whatsoever. You just ski right up to the lift and get on it. You're gonna combine all these resorts, you might as well do it on a weekday. Another tip is, if you don't like feeling pressure to move from point to point to try and cover all of the terrain in one day, take 2 days. Maybe just do 2 resorts, La Parva and Valle Nevado on one day, and then the next day you do El Colorado and Valle Nevado. That way you have a lot more time that you can spend over in La Parva or over in El Colorado to hit all the slopes, particularly if you like some of the slopes, hit them over and over again and not feel like you have to leave, get the max out of your money. My conclusion is that skiing or boarding all 3 resorts on the same day is totally liberating. You have the freedom to go anywhere at any time. However, because you bought 3 passes, you might feel like you don't want to focus on one area, even though you like it. But one way to look at it is that it's just a little bit smaller than Park City, Utah, which is the 10th largest ski resort in the world. What you do, don't let go. Chasing a dream.